what you want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what you want me to be. It may not be on the mountain's height or over the stormy sea. It may not be at the battle's front. My Lord will have need of me. But if by a still small voice He calls to paths I do not know, I'll answer, dear Lord, with my hand in thine. I'll go where you want me to go. I'll go where you want me to go, dear Lord, o'er mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what you want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what you want me to be. Perhaps today there are loving words that Jesus would have me speak. There may be now in the paths of sin some wanderer whom I should seek. O Savior, if thou wilt be my guide, though dark and rugged the way, my voice shall echo the message sweet. I'll say what you want me to say. I'll go where you want me to go, dear Lord, o'er mountain or plain or sea. I'll say what you want me to say, dear Lord. I'll be what you want me to be. There's surely somewhere a lowly place in earth's harvest field so wide, where I may labor through life's short day for Jesus the crucified. So trusting my all unto thy care, I know thou lovest me. to say, dear Lord, I'll be what you want me to It may not be on the mountain's height or over the stormy sea. It
Good evening, everyone. And how is everyone doing? Good. It's so good to see everyone out this evening, attending every night. Praise the Lord. Amen. And how many have really seriously, deeply examined yourself and said, and really said, I really need to make some changes in my life? I have another question. How many seriously found out something about yourself that making changes, or let me put it like this, how stubborn you can be on making changes? You know, because I know you've heard not always, but I know you've heard sometimes people say, yeah, I can stop if I wanted to do that, or I don't have to do that. But now it's time for you to put it to the test. And sometimes it's not as easy as things may seem. But the thing is, don't give up, because the enemy sees what we're trying to do, right? And you know he's going to be coming after us as well. But greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. So let's just remember that, and let's continue to keep our speaker in prayer. The Lord has really used him in a mighty way. And again, I just want to welcome everyone. We're still going to be here tomorrow. So, you know, if you haven't spread this word, I encourage you to do so. And then also, I know we had a list of that was going around. Just make sure we get your name and the telephone number and the email address, because we want to stay in contact with you. Because what we're going to be doing too is we're going to have some financial seminars, free financial seminars as well, that we're going to invite the community to. And then also we're going to have a health fair where you can come in and get your blood work checked and your glucose and all that stuff. So, and all these things, it's for the community. And I think that's what churches are here for, to reach out and help each other. So those are the things we're planning on doing by God's grace. So make sure we have your information before you leave, either today or if you're here tomorrow. But just make sure we just have your information. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to Brother Lemon. May you just continue to keep him in prayer.
Thank you. All right. Well, let me go ahead and say good evening to everyone. Hope you all had a real blessed day today. Sounds to me like you're still 5 feet or more above ground, so I think there's still enough to give thanks for. And I'm very grateful that you all are here. And it's more than just being alive, but we want to be healthy and we want to be happy. And that's another reason, I'm sure, why you're here. You know, we want to do the best we can. You know, we live in a world filled with sin. And we need to start understanding that sin is our problem. You know, did you know that sin is our problem? You know, it's funny. I have friends all the time that talk to me. I am privileged to be part of a ministry that is worldwide. And we get to travel many countries and many different states throughout the United States. And, you know, when I get a chance to meet with people, sometimes I say, hey, Dwayne, what do you think about what's happening in the political realm? Or what do you think is happening what do you think about this realm and that realm? Of course, we have, again, racism and bigotry in a marked way that's still manifesting itself in very most recent times. Is that right? But, you know, I don't believe we have a black-white issue. I believe we have a sin issue. And, you know, some people like to deal with symptoms and other people deal with the root. You see, I can guarantee you this. I can tell an individual opposite of my race to stop hating me, but that doesn't mean he can stop hating me. You see, the Bible says in Jeremiah 13 and verse 23, can the Ethiopian change his skin? What do you think the answer is? No. Can the leopard change his spots? Well, then here's how the verse concludes. It says, can the Ethiopian change his skin? Can the leopard change his spots? The answer is no. Then the verse says, then how can you expect to do good when you're accustomed to do evil? We have something called a sinful nature. And until we tap into a power source that can give us strength and victory over this sinful nature, sooner or later, the sinful nature is going to do what it only knows how to do, and that is sin. And it's going to be manifested in 1,000 different ways. And so what we really need is to tap into a power source that can give us victory over sin. And then by God's grace, we can get victory over sickness too. And so that's what we're doing when we go throughout our time together throughout this week. We're not just talking about health. We're not just giving health lectures. We're talking about the gospel of health. We're talking about something that God has put in his words that have so much power in it that it not only can show us the formula of how to live a life victorious over sin, but it shows us a formula of how to live a life victorious over sickness, which is synonymous to sin. And so that's why you're here this evening. That's why you've been here night after night. And I hope and I pray that you're getting as much as I know God wants to give you throughout our times that we have been coming together. If you're with us for the first time this evening, we just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. The whole purpose of these meetings is for you to be here. If you are not part of the Seventh-day Adventist community, well, again, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. You are the great reason why we put these things together. We believe that God has given us something that was designed to give to every single individual we have the privilege of coming in contact with. I believe to whom much is given, much is required. And so as a result of that, I believe that this is a great opportunity to give what has been given to me, to return it back, if I can say that. And so tonight, we're going to talk about another disease that's been plaguing society. In fact, this disease has actually been plaguing millions and millions of people. I mean, you know, Monday night, we talked about hypertension and heart disease. Tuesday night, last night, we talked about diabetes. Tonight, we're going to talk about arthritis, a disease with 1,000 cures. Arthritis affects a lot of people because at the end of the day, arthritis is always dealing with a disease affecting the joints. And there's all sorts of different forms and types of arthritis that we go through. Some of it's very mild, some of it is very severe. But in any case, we're going to be talking about this tonight. And if there's anybody you know that's suffering with it, I believe we're going to get some good gems that are going to help us throughout our time together. Also, when we conclude this evening, I have a very important announcement to make in relation to our consultations, okay? But let's go ahead, let's bow our heads for a word of prayer, and let's get ourselves into our study for the evening dealing with arthritis. Let us pray. Our loving Father, we are so grateful. We thank you so much for the privilege and the blessings to still experience the degrees of life, health, and strength that you have given to us, at least giving us enough that we could be here together tonight. And I pray that you would do something special, that you would impart your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding, most importantly, your power, that whatever it is that is ailing us, that you would make it known to our hearts how we can have victory over it by putting our trust in you and trusting in your power to make whatever changes are necessary in our lifestyle. And I ask, dear God, that you might bless my brothers and sisters here well beyond their expectations. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right. Now, when we're dealing with the disease of arthritis, it's very simple. Arthritis is a general term for disease or other abnormal processes occurring where? In the joints. Any type of disease or abnormal process that occurs in the joints is what we would term arthritis, okay? That's what we would term it. When you ask yourself the question, who has it? Look at this. An estimated 40 million Americans suffer with some form of arthritis. So we know that arthritis is not a small thing. It's a major thing. It's a big thing, okay? And you can get it at any age. When I was younger, I mean, I still consider myself young, but when I was younger, I was very risky. I did a lot of stuff. I used to do gymnastics. I did martial arts. I did 3 disciplines in martial arts. I did Taekwondo, the Korean martial art. I did the Japanese martial art called Shotokan. And then I did the dancing martial art called capoeira, a Brazilian martial art. So I used to do a lot of movement of my body. Then I'm doing gymnastics on top of that. Then I'm doing free, relay racing and all these tricks on bicycles and stuff. I mean, I did a lot of stuff when I was in my younger age. And, you know, sometimes you make certain moves and you do certain things and you hear a click in your body. And, you know, you're just kind of like, what was that? And, you know, you just, oh, I don't know what it is. Shake it off, keep it moving. But what we don't know is sometimes you start a process in your youth that starts kind of manifesting itself as you get a few years older. And so it is that, before you know it, you're 30 years old or you're 40 years old. And when it was easy to say, let's all kneel together and pray, you're like, whoa. And, or when you're kneeling, you're hearing like click, 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 click. You hear all these clicking and clacking going on in our bodies. And we're like, what is all this? And a lot of times that's called wear and tear. And we begin going through these things. So, nowadays you got, 20-year-olds who are going through arthritis. You got 40-year-olds who are going through arthritis. And certainly when a lot of individuals get up into their 50s and 60s and onward, yes, you're going to hear more and more about arthritis. It's some type of disease or abnormal process that's happening in our joints. And our body's loaded with joints. And as a result of that, it's very easy to happen pretty much almost anywhere. Well, what is the cause of it? Because, we've been talking about cause so much, ascertaining the cause. When you think of the cause, I want you to look at this explanation. This is pretty powerful. Look at this. Our joints and ligaments, like our muscles, wear with use and needs to be what? Constantly repaired. A process that normally occurs when? During sleep. So I want you to understand that when you and I go to sleep, that is when your body, in a very serious way, goes to work. But it goes to work in a most brilliant, silent manner that you and I can be in a totally unconscious state, yet the body and the blood cells and all these things are working wonderfully to restore you from the previous day's physical exertions. So, repair of any body part. Now, I want you to watch this. This is very important because we're going to come back to this. Repair of any body part requires free access to what? Oxygen and other nutrients. When circulation of the blood becomes inadequate, ligaments weaken, joint fluids decrease, and cartilage wears away. Okay? So if you were to just pay attention just to this slide, there are 4 things already that we see that we need to make sure is a reality for our life and our health. Number 1 is we need to make sure we're getting good what? Sleep. Number 2, we need to make sure we have free access to good oxygen. We need to make sure we're filling our body with lots of. And we need to make sure that whatever we're doing in the name of life or lifestyle, that whatever we're doing, it does not negatively impact the what? Circulation of our blood. You understand that? Those are 4 key points right there. And you want to think about that because there's lots of ways that you can inhibit good circulation. We're going to talk about that, okay? One of the most important things that you should think about is whatever I do in the name of life and lifestyle, I need to make sure it always promotes good circulation. Circulation is key. Your blood has to literally go from the top of your head to the sole of your feet freely, and it needs no obstruction. And when those obstructions take place, over time, it can create an atmosphere where disease or some type of abnormal process can now begin even in our joints. So this is something to pay very close attention to. Now, one of the key forms of arthritis that affects, those 40 million people who are suffering with some type of arthritis is osteoarthritis, okay? What is osteoarthritis? Most common form of arthritis is osteoarthritis. It usually occurs when a joint's what? Blood supply becomes inadequate for its needed function. Joints begin to break down when the arteries supplying them become narrowed or obstructed. In the Bible, in the book of Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 11, the Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood, okay? Whatever we want as far as life, we need to make sure we're getting good blood flow because the life of our flesh, our bodies, is in the blood. This is why the most important thing to you and I, if you really want to prevent disease, and I'm going to let you know right now that prevention is better than cure. Tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about cancer and blood. We're going to talk about cancer and the blood, okay? And you're going to understand that if you really want to ward off a lot of disease, you want to start thinking about what is the best way to keep my blood healthy? How can I make sure I have good blood flow, good circulation, healthy blood? The more that I have healthy blood cells is the more that I'm going to have a healthy body because this is how the body works. Everything gets down to the cellular level. Once you have the cell, Then you have the tissue. After the tissue, then you have the organ. After the organ, then you have the system. After the system, then you have the body. You understand that? Let me repeat that. That was too fast, wasn't it? So let's try that again. Everything gets broken down to the cell. Okay? If you can have healthy cells, then you're going to have healthy tissue. If you have healthy tissue, then you're going to have healthy organs. If you have healthy organs, then you're going to have healthy systems. And if you have a healthy system, then you're going to have a healthy body. You get that? Let's try it one more time. And I want you to repeat it after me. I want you to say it nice and loud like a good class. You ready? Everything begins and breaks down starting with the cell. And then from the cell, you have your tissues. And then after your tissues, you then have your organs. And then after your organs, you have your systems. And then after your systems, you have your body. So if I want to take good care of my body, I have to make sure I have a good working system. But if I have to have a good working system, I have to have good working organs. And if I'm going to have good working organs, I have to have good working tissues. And if I'm going to have good working tissues, that means I have to have good working cells. So whenever you eat, drink, live, dress, whatever it is you do, you're thinking, how will this benefit my blood cells? The more that it can benefit the cells, it's going to benefit everything else. You get that? So that's how we want to think about these things. So with osteoarthritis, it's lacking blood supply. It's lacking the lifeline. Those blood cells are not able to get there. And that's why here goes a healthy knee joint. You ever heard of these knee replacements some of us have to go through sometimes? Huh? Well, here's a healthy knee joint. But then here's one that obviously has been unfortunately losing its blood supply, and therefore hypertrophy and spurring of bone and erosion of cartilage takes place. And this is what it starts looking like as we get into the world of osteoarthritis. Very painful because you're losing that cushion that's supposed to be in between. So you got to really work on that, okay? Now, osteoarthritis, again, is primarily something we see happening amongst individuals as a result of lack of blood supply, right? But the reason that I bring this up is because it's not just bad news that I'm pointing out about the disease. I actually have good news. And the good news is that God knows how to deal with dry bones. Did you know that? God actually knows how to deal with dry bones. God knows how to deal with dry bones so well, he wrote about it in the Bible. You see, as we stated, Leviticus 17:11, the life of the flesh is in the blood. And God is our life. I don't know if you ever read it in Deuteronomy chapter 30. It's so beautiful. God is very methodical when he talks to his people. And in Deuteronomy 30, in verse 19, he says, I present before you life and death, blessings and cursings. And then he says, choose life, right? He says, choose life. But a lot of people don't understand the verse because you got to go to the next verse. It's in verse 20. When it's talking about God, it says, for he is your life. So literally, when God says, choose life, he was saying, choose me. You get that? That's why Jesus could say, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I mean, that's why he could use these terms all the time. He's life. And so it is that the life of the flesh is in the blood, and it's the life giver that supplies the blood. So when he ran into a bunch of dry bones one day, here's what he said. The Bible says, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. Then it says, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. Then it says, and he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. And thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. Going on, it says, and I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. God knows how to raise up these dry bones. And if God can do some incredible, miraculous story like this in Ezekiel, I believe he knows how to deal with our little dry bone in our knees. You understand that? I think he knows how to deal with the dry bone in our elbow. I think he knows how to deal with those dry bones. In fact, if you were to go to your doctor today, I don't know how many of you in this room might have either some mild or severe case of osteoarthritis, this lack of blood supply, bones, drying out, cartilage drying out. If you go to your doctor and you said, what can we do to reverse this? Does anybody know what their answer is? There is no reversing, At best, they can do a very invasive surgery. And, depending on where it is, of course, a lot of us have low back. So some of us are having osteoarthritis in the lumbar. Some of us are having osteoarthritis in the cervical. And when you get it in the cervical, it can be a beast. Because if you get it in the lumbar, sciatica, and that thing can get pretty painful in the back of the leg, radiating down the back of your leg, sometimes all the way down to your toes. But boy, when you get it in your neck, you can get everything from vertigo, everything starts spinning around, you can go through a lot of pain, you turn this way and you feel radiation going down your shoulder all the way down to your fingertip or your thumb. It gets pretty bad because there's all sorts of nerves and wires. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. And so when we go to them and say, hey, can you fix this? Many a times it's not fixable except it be surgery. And when you do surgery, ladies and gentlemen, if there are two areas of the body where you really want to be super reluctant getting surgery, that is on your back and on your feet. Because many of these type of surgeries, once they're done, it often leaves a lot of residual pain that person has to live with for the rest of their life. And you know how it is. There's a protocol in the system, the American medical system. When you go there with a lot of pain, the first thing they're going to do is say, take a drug. And that's when they're going to give you some of those NSAIDs that we talked about last night that are now super high risk and, people could get heart attacks and all these terrible things. And after they recommend the NSAIDs, the next best thing they more than likely will recommend, PT, physical therapy. And they're going to put you in a physical therapy room and they're going to start showing you how to do certain stretches. And if that PT doesn't work, maybe they'll recommend massage or chiropractor. And once they do that, it's done. There's nothing else that can be done. That's the end. But the bottom line is, Doc, can my body rebuild this cartilage back? The answer, according to the Medical Institute today, is going to be emphatically no, but there are some things that God has made where God respectfully disagrees. There is something that many of you may not be familiar with, but boy, I hope you become familiar with it as of tonight. This right here is called bone, flesh, and cartilage. There was a gentleman, his name was Dr. John Christopher. He has this little book right here, The School of Natural Healing. And this book is one of the most recent additions that I've added to my library. I know that you all have been getting some of the books that we have there. Unfortunately, this is not one of them, but I know where they sell this. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I can tell you where you can get this from, okay? But nevertheless, this book is something very worthy to add to our libraries because it has some very unique, remedies and recipes in it that you may not normally find in some of your natural remedy books that we get from other places. Well, one of the recipes that Dr. Christopher became very, very well known for, very well respected for, and I'm not here to say Dr. Christopher is some guru that has ownership over God's plan. He does not. I'm not here to endorse everything that Dr. Christopher may have put together. But when it comes to this one that he put together, I am a huge advocate of it. It is called bone, flesh, and cartilage. It's a synergistic combination of herbs for bones, flesh, and cartilage. Dr. Christopher's famous complete tissue and bone formula, formerly called bone, flesh, and cartilage, or BFC, is a synergistic combination of 12 whole food herbs. True to its name, complete tissue and bone combination seems to bring almost immediate relief by aiding the body's natural process of healing. There was a sister who came to meet ministry, and she had a very bad hump in her back, okay? And so, she had to walk with that hump, very painful, definite osteoarthritis. What they did was they made a poultice. This is actually what it looks like at Meat Ministry. You can actually order this from them. And I'm an advocate for Meat Ministry. I've been privileged to go there. I've worked with them for years. They are one of the best at combining the gospel and medical work together. And Dr. Thomas Jackson is someone that I know personally. He's like a father figure in my life. And I highly, highly, highly recommend this organization because I've tested it and proved it through and through. And this is one of the products that they have amongst many. Now, when somebody came there to their sanitarium, they had that. So they put the bone, flesh, and cartilage poultice on the person's back. And 18 days, the person was staying with them. They have an 18-day program. So when the person was staying with them, they're walking like this. But by the time you get to day 10, they start walking like this. And by the time you get to day 18, they started walking like this. In other words, their back just started normalizing. It started getting back up, 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 up. When the person left, they still had a slight hump. And then as they kept in touch with them, the person said their back is completely straight again. Now, here's the point. Luke 18 and verse 27 says that which is impossible with man is possible with God. There are many things that man has put a closure to and said it cannot be. That God says, really? And then God goes ahead and exercises his power and proves again that even his foolishness is greater than the greatest of man's wisdom. And so it is that I would like to encourage you that if you are struggling, especially with osteoarthritis, that you get yourself intelligent on something like bone, flesh, and cartilage. You can look it up on Google, check it all out, read the incredible testimonies. There's a ton of them just located in here. One of the key ingredients in bone, flesh, and cartilage is something called comfrey root. If you know anything about comfrey root, in the Vietnam Wars, when the soldiers would be out in war and, they get shot, they'd break bones and so on, it was comfrey root that was one of the chief herbs that they would apply to a broken bone, and it would help the body heal the bone. Comfrey root and white oak bark, these were like the two real bone mending types of herbs, okay? And so we have to understand the body is always made to heal itself. That's why if any of you give me your hand and then I take a knife and I cut your hand, immediately your body is going to go in action to restore the hand and heal it. Immediately fibrins are going to start to grow. Blood platelets are going to start coming together. White blood cells are going to say, hey, there might be infection coming in. Let's be on standby, ready to take it out. I mean, your body is made to heal itself. So it is when osteoarthritis or any type of arthritis takes place. Our body understands something's wrong in the system. The body is obviously going through pain and irritation, and they begin to come to the site to see what can be done. If our bodies are broken down, weakened, or debilitated, then sometimes we need assistance. So it can go in our bloodstream and help mend what the body was trying to do on its own, but was just too weak, maybe too compromised because of lifestyle. And hence now these whole food herbs start coming in to give the body that kick, that boost that it needs so that the body can actually heal itself and restore bone, restore flesh, restore cartilage. You understand that? So BFC is something that I would highly recommend if somebody in this room is struggling with osteoarthritis. I would say start looking into BFC. Please make sure you take it intelligently. If you're going to call Meat Ministry as an example, talk with the individuals there. How do I apply it? How long should I take it? When should I take a break from it? Etc. Because as healthy as herbs are, they can become toxic if you take too much of it and too long of it. You understand that? Okay? Like an example again would be comfrey root. A lot of people take comfrey root internally. You don't want to do that for more than 10 days. Listen to me good. You do not want to do that for more than 10 days. If you do that for more than 10 days, it can cause your liver to go into acute shock. Okay? And then it can cause your liver to go in acute shock, acute failure. It doesn't kill you, but I mean, you're going to have some problems, and then you're going to have to go to the hospital, and then you're going to have to deal with that. So again, when you take herbs, you must understand that we have to take it judiciously. We have to take it smart. You can't just say it's an herb and just start filling our bodies with it because it's an herb. Can't do that. You got to take them very intelligently. Topical is different from internal, but nevertheless, please take it intelligently. If you have osteoarthritis, not only can you use bone, flesh, and cartilage, but if there's one thing I would also recommend, if you are struggling with osteoarthritis, please get yourself more involved in stretching. A lot of us don't do this. True story. I'll use myself. It's always all right to use yourself as an example. For years, 2008, I got hit with Lyme disease. You know, a little deer tick. You know, my family and I live in the country. And so, you know, deer tick comes along. The deer tick sticks its, head inside of your body and releases that bacteria. And the spirochete gets in your system. And it affects your joints, like really bad. Well, I remember that after that, I especially used to feel the pain in my heels. Now, when that thing happened, I could not walk in shoes like this anymore. You see how these shoes, our brother's shoes, we got that little heel. We don't wear stilettos, thank the Lord. But nevertheless, we got a heel, right? Got that little bit of a heel. I couldn't even wear this. This was punishing painful. I mean, real painful. So I started getting all these dress shoes with like these sneaker looking bottoms, Kenneth Coles and stuff like that. Had to do it. I said, man, because this stuff is hurting me. So for years, I had it in November of 2008, overcame it May 2009. After that, that was one of the residuals that stuck with me. So for years, I would have to do that because when I would stand a lot and talk before God's people, if you really paid attention to me, you would see me do this. Yeah, so the Bible says, and da-da-da. And I'll be doing these little massages on my lower back. I started getting pain in my lower back. And it would be bad. And so, I had to start getting some Tiger Balm and all this stuff to put it on there at night just so I can get some relief. So here it is that I've done that year after year after year. And I forgot something. You see, because I'm slim, because, I'm still fairly young, I took advantage of my slim physique and, my youthful age. And, I would exercise, but I wouldn't do what I used to do, which was stretch. So if I wanted to go exercise, I'd just start doing my exercise and I'd go in. And the next thing you know, I'm like, man, why is my back killing me? Or whatever. So I talked with a friend of mine and they was like, listen, why don't you do more stretching? Start doing more of these. And we started going over very specific stretches for the lower back because even though many of us may exercise in this room, one of the areas of the body that is typically neglected is what's called the core. Okay? A lot of us neglect our core. And my friends, you do not want to neglect your core area of your body. That's your abs here, your lower back, and so on. A lot of people don't work these areas too well. We love having big biceps and all this other stuff, but we're weak in our core. I started doing very specific core exercises, started doing very specific core stretching. As I started to do that, I realized, wait a minute. All this time, I'm thinking there was possible degeneration going on in my back. There wasn't any degeneration. My back was just starving for some exercise. My back was starving for stretching. There are many of us who have pain in the cervical area because of, again, disc degeneration, mild osteoarthritis. Family, if you start doing up, down, then left, right, then side, 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 side. You ever see those little balls that children play with? And you could take the ball and you kind of poof, and you hit the ball and it's not like a heavy ball. It has a lot of air in it, so you can kind of hit it and it's just like a heavy balloon almost. And the ball goes in the air. Take one of those balls. This is true. If you got especially cervical osteoarthritis, take one of those balls, put it against your head and go to a wall. When you go to the wall, you just go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then switch. 1, 2, 3. And that little resistance, what it's doing is it's teaching your neck muscles to become stronger. It's helping your neck muscles become stronger. When your neck muscles become stronger, a lot of that arthritic pain that's in the cervical area will start dissipating. It'll start going away. It is actually recommended by many health fitness physicians that the more that you start building muscle in some of those areas where you're having some of that osteoarthritic pain, the muscle building will compensate for the decreased cartilage. Did you hear what I just said? Osteoarthritis is when low blood supply, therefore cartilage is wearing away. If you didn't know about BFC then you're just stuck with this situation. But what you can do to compensate is that, hey, you know what? I can't rebuild my cartilage per se, but I can rebuild muscle around those areas. And as I rebuild the muscle becomes like your new cushion, if you will. And it starts helping a lot of that degenerative pain dissipate. So therefore, I want to encourage you, do more stretching. I mean, I have a whole head-to-toe stretch routine that I do because I used to be really good at stretching. Because again, I used to be a former dancer, professional dancer, martial artist, blah, blah, blah. So I was really, really limb in just moving around. So I know all those stretch routines from back in the days. I still remember it, and I still do it up until this morning. So again, if any of you were like, I don't know how to stretch. If you don't know how to stretch or what have you, come see me and just take your camera out. And I'll be like, all right, let's do a video. And then I'll show you how to do head-to-toe stretch routine, get the whole body in there. I'm lying to you not. I'm talking about head-to-toe. I even got stretches for your toes, okay? But it's good for you, and it makes your body just feel fantastic. You feel nice and limb, and then you get that good exercise in, and it makes you feel great, and a lot of that pain can go away. Also, if you are struggling with osteoarthritis, not only can you use BFC to help restore bone, flesh, and cartilage, not only should you do exercise and stretching, but also please, please, please drink plenty of water. Plenty of water. Your body needs water. Your cartilage, all your bone, everything needs water. There are some of us, we are not drinking our water. Listen to me. Do you know what's one of the most powerful Bible verses? One of the most powerful verses in all of the Bible. One of the most powerful. You ready for this? Is John 13 and verse 17. Here's what Jesus said. So powerful. If you know these things, happy are ye if you do these things. Now, listen to what I'm saying to you. That's the end of the verse. That's one of the most powerful verses in the Bible. John 13, 17. If you know these things, happy are ye if you do these things. You see, everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants happiness. But the problem is that a lot of the things that can produce the happiness that we want so badly in our lives is based on our knowledge. It's what do you know? Do you know what to do to get yourself more happy? Yeah, I do. Are you doing it? No, I'm not. If you know these things, happy are you if you do these things. You see, our greatest crisis is we know more than we do. Is that simple enough? Remember the other night I was asking, how many of you know you're supposed to drink water? How many of you know you're supposed to go to bed? How many of you know you're supposed to control your appetite and get rid of all that bad stuff we keep filling our bodies with, gambling with our health? How many of us know these things? We know it, but we're not doing it. Now, the flip is James 4:17. To him that knows to do good and doeth it not, to him it's sin. You understand that? John 13:17. It's funny how the verses end like that. It's interesting. John 13:17. If you know these things, happy are ye if you do these things. James 4:17. To him that knows to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. You see, the other night I showed you that how much water should we be drinking? Half the body weight in fluid ounces. Half the body weight in fluid ounces. So if I weigh 200 pounds, what's half of that body weight? That's 100. So how many ounces should I drink in a day? 100. Spread it out. Please do not drink 100 ounces of water in one shot. Spread it out. In the morning, I'm going to have 8 ounces. And then maybe minutes later or whatever, I'm going to have another 8 ounces. And you measure that thing throughout the day. But you can get it in. You can get it in. And all your body says is, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I can function the way I'm supposed to function. And so I'm telling you, if you're dealing with osteoarthritis, don't play games with your body. You got to hydrate. You must hydrate. You got to keep your body nice and well hydrated. So that way you can fight that thing off. All right? If you have osteoarthritis, not only can you do bone, flesh, and cartilage, not only can you do some stretching and some exercises, not only are you to well hydrate yourself, but folks, you need to make sure that you get some proper rest. Is that all right? Don't they look peaceful? I tell you, I look for pictures. I always look for the perfect pictures to try to get the point across. Nobody's going to interrupt their sleep. Those guys are knocked out. They are down for the count. And that's how God wants you to sleep. He wants you to sleep when you are out. And what has to happen is to get that proper rest, we got to plan it. You remember last night I told you about, The Dark Deception. This is a pretty good book on sunlight and some of the benefits and so on that come from sunlight. But one of the things it said here was go to bed around the same time each night, ideally around 10 p.m. So try to create a routine. It's called regularity. Try to create a routine where you go to bed at the same time every night. If there's one thing the human body loves is regularity. Eating at the same time, going to bed at the same time. The body loves regularity, okay? So try to do that. Well, it says ideally around 10 p.m. Now, there's a reason that 10 p.m. mark is something where you want to make sure you're out. Remember, I told you, you don't hustle, 9:59, and jump into bed and just try to go to bed at 10. Because your body's still in a very wakeful state of mind, and, your body's going to have to wind down. So, again, if we know I got to be out by 10, that means as early as perhaps 8:30, you're winding down. You're cutting lights down in the house, especially your room. You're slowing down. Maybe you're putting some of your relaxing music on or what have you. You're doing everything possible to create an atmosphere of calm. An atmosphere of calm. So that by time it's maybe 9:15, 9:30 or so, you literally are at the point where you're like showered, you're done, you can get in bed, nice cool room, and then you go to sleep. Well, let's think about this. Benefits of good sleep. Number one, it helps rebuild the cells of your body, okay? Because we talked about, again, rebuilding at night, okay? So it helps rebuild the cells of your body. It refreshes the brain. It chases away fatigue. It enhances the cleansing process. Our body goes through a natural cleansing process while we sleep. Healing takes place. Growth hormones are released. It reinforces your character structure, and vital energy is restored. Every day, we are burning vital force. Every day, especially our young people. That's why young people need more sleep than adults. Parents, if you go to bed at 10, your children should be going to bed probably at 7 or 8. You understand that? They need much more time to replenish all that precious energy that they burn throughout a day. Okay? Continuing. Now look at this. This is beautiful. Serotonin, your sleep hormone. Let me tell you, I'm realizing, especially people who suffer with depression, many of them are serotonin deficient. Serotonin is actually your happy hormone. Okay? It's your happy hormone. And a lot of times when people they're always unhappy, always down, always thinking negative. Maybe they're even thinking a lot about death and sickness, hypochondriacs and all of that. Sometimes that's a symptom that, man, they might be serotonin deficient, okay? When you go outside, when the sunlight hits your eyes, that helps build your serotonin up, okay? So watch this. Serotonin is the hormone secreted by the pineal gland, the hypothalamus in the brain. The highest secretion is between what times? 10 and 11. During what? That's why you want to be down by 10 o'clock. Okay? Because the body's made. God made us a certain way. If you're a night worker, see me after the meeting. I'll have specific counsel for those who are night workers, okay? But as long as you're a day worker, you want to do your best to make sure at 10 o'clock you're down, you're out. Okay, serotonin affects mood, carbohydrate cravings, and sleep quality. One cannot make it up for lost sleep, and there's a 50% reduction in T cells by losing a half night's sleep. Your T cells are your army to fight against cancer. You understand that? You know what I just recently found? There's a nice article. I didn't get, maybe I'll put it in for tomorrow's study. We'll see if I can get to it. But your tonsils. Did you know your tonsils actually hold a large portion of your T cells? And it's amazing because we're told tonsils, appendix, gallbladder, a lot of these things are just expendable, you know. I got a friend of mine, sadly, a friend of mine right now has gallstones. And do you know what the standard procedure is in America? Take it out. If you got gallstones, now here's where it's sad. If you have kidney stones, do you know what we have in America? We have a machine that it's almost like a Doppler, like what's used with ultrasounds when you want to check the baby. There's like a Doppler. You can put it on the person's back right here, and it actually sends vibration waves through the body, and it dissolves and crushes the stones. Okay? That's a way that you can get it without having to do surgery sometimes. Okay? The first standard procedure, if you have kidney stones, drink a lot of water and it'll just pass through. But if the stones are a little bit bigger and it's caught in that ureter, then they're going to probably have to go ahead and use that machine. Now, here's my point. Did you know that machine can dissolve gallstones as well? It can. But because it is understood largely in our medical world today that the gallbladder is expendable, it is easier to just go in, sip, 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 and take it out. And therefore, and your gallbladder is what houses your bile. And I mean, if you start really getting into this thing, it's like, you know, you need that bile. Whenever you have a brown bowel movement, it's your bile that made it brown. Whenever you have the urination and you get that little yellow tinge to it, it's your bile that's doing that. That bile works like an emulsifier that helps make everything well digestible and work flowing through the system. Once that gallbladder is removed, now your liver is going to have to do a lot of extra work, and it is stated that you have a 30% increase of colon cancer once you have your gallbladder removed. 30% increase. So again, a lot of times they just get rid of this stuff. Get rid of the tonsils. Get rid of the appendix. Get rid of this. But they keep saying, hey, medical science has now discovered there is relevance to tonsils. I'm like, every person who had tonsils removed should go and protest in front of those hospitals. Be like, listen. You know what I'm saying? Something. Say, y'all, now you found out that my tonsils were, you know, a blessing. So, you know, there's a lot of things that people say. We just got to put these things in checks and balances. But the point is that getting proper rest, if we don't get it, those T cells can become reduced, and that inhibits our body to fight the way it should against a lot of these cancers. So proper rest is absolutely needed. Now watch this. In daylight hours, the pineal gland synthesizes serotonin. In the absence of light, it converts serotonin to melatonin. The serotonin levels fall and the melatonin levels rises at night. So that's what you want. 10 o'clock, down and out, serotonin levels are going to go down, melatonin levels are going to rise up, and that's what's going to give you a sweet sleep and allows your body to have the highest level of healing and restoration. Okay? So sleeping is something that is super necessary for all of us. If you can't sleep, some suggestions. Take a hot bath maybe 2 hours before going to bed. Take a warm shower just before going to bed. Don't eat just before you sleep. That's the worst thing you can do. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about temperance and eating. You're supposed to go to bed on an empty stomach. The problem with many of us is we're eating food shortly before we go to bed. And so our body is digesting throughout the night when it wasn't supposed to be doing that. Okay? So you got to learn how to train yourself that you go to sleep. And your stomach needs to be empty. And if you're having a full meal, it's going to take about 5 hours for it to be digested. So that means that if you're trying to make sure you're asleep by 10, and it takes how long for the meal to be fully digested? Those 5 hours. Then what that means, family, is that means that, wow, you need to be finished with your last meal of the day by 5? Yes. Did you see that? Yes. And this is called eating. Listen to these words. This is called eating in harmony with digestion. You understand that? We got to learn how to eat in harmony with digestion. And so when you go to bed at night and your body doesn't have to do all this extra work, man, you get to sleep. And your body is just loving every bit of it. You understand that? So please don't eat right before you're going to bed or too close to bedtime, because it's going to disrupt your sleep. Drink a cup of relaxing herbal tea: valerian, skullcap, hops, vervain, chamomile, peppermint. I mean, you got a lot of teas out there that you can take. Go for a relaxed walk for maybe 30 minutes, or read some good books, which will give you a peaceful state of mind. So, you got a lot of options, but you got to give yourself good rest. So if we're dealing with osteoarthritis, again, bone, flesh, and cartilage, we can take a look at that. Also, Get some stretching and some exercises in there, especially strength building, some muscle building exercises. Also, we want to make sure that we're drinking plenty of water. Also, make sure you're giving yourself some good night's rest. You got to give your body good rest. Give your body a chance to fight. Your body wants to fight. It's made to fight. But we got to give it the best advantage so that it can fight intelligently. All right? Now, in addition to this, we also have something called rheumatoid arthritis. This is another animal that we have to deal with, but it's different from osteo. Rheumatoid arthritis, it results from what? Inflammation. It results from inflammation of the joints with redness, swelling, pain, and fever, rather from injury or wear and tear. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease. Anytime you hear the word autoimmune, it means the body is attacking itself. Okay, autoimmune is the body is attacking itself. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease related to asthma, hay fever, eczema, and other diseases that have an allergic component. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis is very, very serious. It's something we need to pay attention to. Now, if we were to take a look at some stats on it, what causes the symptoms of inflammation? When inflammation occurs, chemicals from the body are released into the blood or affected tissues. This release of chemicals increases the blood flow to the area of injury or infection and may result in redness and warmth. Some of the chemicals cause a leak of fluid into the tissues, resulting in swelling. This process may stimulate nerves and cause pain. Okay, this is what's happening in rheumatoid arthritis. What are the results of joint inflammation? Increased blood flow and release of these chemicals attract white blood cells to the sites of inflammation. The increased number of cells and inflammatory substances within the joint can cause irritation, wearing down of cartilage, cushions at the end of the bones, and swelling of the joint lining, the synovium. So the body is literally attacking itself. When the white blood cells start coming into the area, because anytime you put heat on your body, like if you put heat on your hand, you put it on your belly, you put it pretty much anywhere. If you put it on your body, it's going to draw blood. Blood loves to go where it's hot. Okay? Blood loves to go where it's hot. That's why if you have a headache, they say do a hot foot bath, because blood loves to go where it's hot. So if your headache is because of too much congestion of blood in the head, when you do a hot foot bath, blood loves to go where it's hot. So blood is going to leave here and it's going to go down to your feet, and then your headache's gone. That's the simple science behind why do you take a hot foot bath when you have a headache. Okay? But blood loves to go where it's hot. But when the blood comes to wherever it's hot, it's not just red blood cells that comes. It's going to be white blood cells that come too. Now, white blood cells are fighters. White blood cells are soldiers. Okay? So when they come, they're looking for the culprit. Now, here's the problem. If the culprit is deep within the joint or the tissues, then where's the white blood going to start attacking? White blood cells. It's going to attack your joint and tissues. And that's why it's an autoimmune disease. The white blood cell is interpreting what's going on in your joints as something of the enemy forces. So the white blood cells are going now after your joints, and it's taking it down. You understand that? That's the autoimmune effect of it. So this is what's happening even in rheumatoid arthritis. Now, we know that the Bible clearly says, and God said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and will do that which is right in his sight, will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I'll put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon who? The Egyptians, for I am the Lord thy God that heals thee. So God was talking about diseases that fell upon the Egyptians. In Deuteronomy 28, it talks about from verse 15 and onward, like to verse 63 or 66, it talks about the diseases that fell on the Egyptians. One of the diseases that fell on the Egyptians was inflammation. Okay? When you think of things like arthritis, anything that ends with I-T-I-S deals with inflammation. You understand that? So God says, I have a plan to get rid of these things that causes these inflammatory responses in your body and in my body. Now, autoimmune disorders, again, usually develop when the immune system mistakes normal body cells for foreign material and then attacks it. It's kind of called friendly fire. You hear about this if any of you have ever been in the military. Anybody ever been in the military? Okay, so you know about that, friendly fire. Okay, what is friendly fire? Friendly fire is inadvertent firing towards one's own or otherwise friendly forces while attempting to engage enemy forces, particularly where this results in injury or death. Autoimmune disease is kind of like that. It's when the body is now attacking itself. There are a lot of churches today that suffer with autoimmune disease, spiritually speaking. The members are actually attacking each other rather than attacking the real enemy, which is the devil. You understand that? It's amazing. We don't need to do a sermon on that, Elder Mungeon. You can say autoimmune response, autoimmune response. But nevertheless, that's what's happening. So, the Bible says every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So if our body is divided against itself, it's going to eventually be brought to desolation if we don't put that thing in check. And so this is why we really have to get a check on autoimmune diseases, which is on a massive rise. Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and I mean, the list just goes on. But there's things that we can do about this, okay? There's things we can do about it. Another form of arthritis, I'm going to come back to rheumatoid. I'm just going to hit this real quick because this one doesn't hit a lot of us as much, but it does hit some people. But I'll come back to the rheumatoid in just a moment. So we're not done with rheumatoid. This one is gouty arthritis. You familiar with that? Gouty arthritis. It's not one that you hear a lot about, but sometimes, a lot of people go through this, especially when you look at this image right here. Sometimes we've seen that, okay? Gouty arthritis accounts for approximately 5%. That's why you don't hear a lot about it. 5% of all cases of arthritis. Gouty arthritis is one of the most painful rheumatic diseases. Gouty arthritis usually strikes a single joint, most commonly the big toe. About 75% of people are affected at least once, and however, it can also affect the foot, ankles, knees, wrists, elbows, and even the fingers. If you were to look at this chart right here, these are areas where you see like the deep red, those are areas where gouty arthritis mostly attacks individuals, okay? Mostly attack. But as you can see, it's a rheumatic disease as well. So that's why I put it in the slides, because we're still on dealing with rheumatism generally. These are areas like the elbow, known to get hit, but that's common. But when you get down here, that's where it's most common, right there on the, the bone of the toe. But nevertheless, it can hit your wrist, it can hit your shoulder, it can hit even your fingers, okay? Gouty arthritis, all right? Now, let's do a review very quickly before we dig real deep into some other principles, especially when we get into rheumatoid arthritis. What items causes the various forms of arthritis? Challenges in the bloodstream, which can come as a result of lack of sleep, okay? Lack of sleep, lack of exercise, lack of pure air, because remember you had to get access to good oxygen, poor nutrition, you got to make sure you get good nutrients in, and then of course, foreign chemicals aggravating the joints. Okay, these are all the different things that are contributors to various forms of arthritis. All right, now as we get into this a little bit more, let's talk about food. Food, as we know, is obviously something we need to eat every day. We eat it every day. We need it to survive. But the question is, what kind of foods are especially contributive to not only arthritis, but especially rheumatic arthritis? Number one, definitely meat. Meat has something called purines in them. And those purines is really what is very, very acidic substance that when that gets into the bloodstream, that can actually contribute to some of these aggravating senses that we get in our joints. So if you were talking with me and said, I am battling with my rheumatoid arthritis, I really need to overcome it, what can I do? One of the first things I would say is we need to if you're on meat right now, we need to get you off of that meat. We're going to go ahead and take some time, but we're going to do some fasting from that, and we're going to replace it. So if you're eating meat right now for taste, well, that's not a problem. We can replace lots of things with great taste. But if you're eating it because of maybe deceptions, like, well, this is the only way I get my protein. Well, that's where I'm going to give some education and say, nah, did you know that every time you combine a bean and rice, when you combine both of them, it becomes a complete protein? So the whole idea that I eat meat to get protein, that's way out the window. That's real old school information. Today, people now know on a very large scale, you can get plenty of your protein from all sorts of beans, grains, and even certain vegetables, and certainly nuts, and what have you. So meat is something that we really want to watch out for. This one right here, can't say enough about it. Food additives, we need to move away from those things, very far away from these things. and you got to pay attention to them. There's such a massive list of things that fall under food additives. First, you got the obvious: yellow number 5, blue number 10. You know, if you're buying drinks that are blue and yellow and all these other weird colors, you know, those are the first things we need to throw out the window. Those things are food additives, very high level chemicals, stimulating, and one of the number one reasons in the food world as to a cause for ADD and ADHD. Okay, attention deficit disorder, ADD, and then attention deficit hyper disorder, ADHD. These things that our precious young children suffer with. And so if we find that our children are going through these battles, sometimes it might be what we're feeding them. Okay, so food additives, that's a major one. And these are some of the examples: these yellow drinks, these, you know, super orange tortillas, you know, these snacks, a lot of these things, food additives. In addition to that, eggs, especially with the yolk, arachidonic acid and all these things. These are things you want to be mindful of, okay? We put these things in our system, we scramble it, and we do all sorts of cute things with these eggs, but unfortunately, they are massive contributors to especially our rheumatoid arthritic effects. So this is another reason why we need to push aside the eggs. You know, a lot of times we're just happy to say, I'm vegetarian. You know, I'm lacto-ovo. But this is where the idea comes. I don't call myself vegan for many reasons. Vegans worship sometimes the sun, moon, and stars. I worship the true and living God. So that's another reason why I'm not a vegan. And I'm not a vegan because I wear a leather belt and leather shoes. Vegans don't like to wear leather because they feel bad for the cows that had to suffer so that I could have a pair of shoes or a leather belt. Okay, so they don't like to do anything that damages anything of the animal kingdom. And that's a noble aspiration, but nevertheless, that's another idea of veganism. But I also was talking with my young friend. Is he, Rick's not here tonight, right? Yeah, he's not here. Okay, I was talking to my brother Rick, young man, I was telling my children about him today. And I remember I was like, we were talking about being a vegan. And, you know, a lot of times when you hear the word vegan, you think it's a good thing. And we get tricked. You know, you ever had somebody serve you food and you're kind of like, what is it? And they said, don't worry, it's vegan. And then we just go ahead and eat it anyhow. And I just told my young friend Rick, I said, Rick, always remember this. Alcohol's vegan. Alcohol is vegan, isn't it? But is it good for you? No. Did we learn a lot about white rice last night? Yes. Did you know white rice is vegan? Did you get that? So vegan is not enough. So when people come to me, you know, hey, you want to eat this, Mr. Lemon? You want to eat that? No, thank you. I'd prefer to have this and that. Oh, what are you? Are you a vegan? Nah. I mean, that's the way I like to answer it. You know, I'll be extra, you know, animated about it. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not a vegan. And then they're like, you're not a vegan? Then what are you? And I'm like, I'm a health reformer. And it is like, health reformer? What's that? You see, I got them where I wanted them. I wanted them to do that. I wanted them to ask me. Health reformer, what's that? Oh, the Bible says, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do it all to the glory of God. And I turned that into an opportunity to witness. You understand that? You're not vegans, you're health reformers. You get that? So therefore, you know, it's not enough to just say, you know, vegetarian, and it's not even enough to say vegan. We are health reformers. We only put things in our body that are healthy. And just because it's vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. White sugar, by the way, is vegan. But white sugar is definitely not healthy. Did you get that? All right, so here's the point. We want to watch out for these things because they're massive contributors. But not only these, even this. Now, you know, it's funny. We're disgusted. What are you disgusted by? Let me ask you this. What are you disgusted by? Are you disgusted because they're putting their mouth to the nipple rather than to a cup? Or are you disgusted by the substance that they're putting inside of them? Okay, well, we say both, but not everybody's saying that. You understand? In other words, this is a very graphic picture to make the point. This cow is looking at him like, what are you doing? And milk is not natural. And I always thought about that. Tell me this is not true. Human beings are the only species to drink the milk of another species. And the only species to drink milk beyond infancy. In other words, even the animal kingdom sometimes demonstrates a higher level of intelligence than even many of us. Isn't that deep? I mean, see, one day I looked at that and I said, that is sadly true. Because even after infancy, we still are going after milk, and we're going after milk of another entire living species. Cats go to cats. The only reason a cat drinks cow's milk is because we forced that thing to do that. You know what I'm saying? We trained it. We was like, you ain't going to drink anything else, so here. So after a while, the cat's like, all right, fine, I'll do it because you kind of forced me in this situation. But a cat does not naturally go to a cow for milk. The cat goes to the cat. The dog goes to the dog. The horse goes to the horse. It's just humans. We are the ones that's like, let's go to a goat, and let's go to a cow, and let's go here, and let's go there. And then we wonder why we have all this lactose intolerance and all these other things. Well, here's the deal. We need to understand some facts about cow's milk. Did you know milk is the most common cause of food allergies? Most common cause of food allergies. People with arthritis, hay fever, asthma, and digestive disorders do better when milk is eliminated from their diet. Now listen to what I'm saying. I'm not talking about milk eliminated from your diet, meaning let me stop pouring milk in my cereal. Let me stop drinking a cup of milk from a cup. We're talking about the cookies, the donuts, the cakes, and the pies that are made with milk. We're talking about the crackers that are made with milk. We're talking about a lot of those things that we make, our breads that we make with milk. A lot of times it's still getting in our system, and it causes these triggers, these allergic reactions. So notice this. Studies have implicated milk and other dairy products as probable contributors to breast cancer. And you watch when we talk about some of those stats tomorrow in relation to cancer. Studies have shown that men who drank over 2 glasses of milk per day increases their risk of prostate cancer by 400%. Okay? Very serious. Very, very serious. Current U.S. Public Health Service regulations state that milk after pasteurization, that means that once you get it out the cow and it's going through the tubes before it's getting ready to go into, our cartons and our bottles, pasteurization should contain no more than 20,000 bacteria milliliters of milk and no more than 10 coliform bacteria milliliters, which is about a quarter teaspoon. This means that a glass of milk with up to 5 million bacteria is still acceptable. And that's from the Food and Drug Administration. You understand that? That's from the Food and Drug Administration. Now, what is one of the #1 crises that we're going through in America right now? Whether you're, we call ourselves health reformers, but what even the healthy of healthy people seem to be battling with today. You know what it is? Gut issues. A lot of us are having gut issues. All of a sudden we eat. After we eat, we feel bloated. We're passing gas like crazy. Sometimes we're breaking out. And it seems like no matter what we do to put on our face and all these other things, we just keep breaking out anyhow. A lot of this stuff is happening because our guts are compromised. We have poor gut health. One of the reasons why is because we're introducing a lot of bad bacteria that is overwhelming the good bacteria. Bacteria in and of itself is not bad. We just need to make sure we have good bacteria versus the bad bacteria. You got to have more good bacteria than bad bacteria in your gut. As long as you have that, you're fine. And that's why today we are a probiotic movement, aren't we? Nowadays, everybody's taking probiotics. No, even the physicians, listen, even the medical practitioners are like, hey, this probiotic thing is serious. So now it's a new thing. So now all of a sudden it's eat all the yogurt you can, eat all the sauerkraut you can, eat all of the kefir you can, and all these other things. And the problem is sometimes we're eating so much fermented product that, again, we're hurting our stomach while we're trying to help us. I wonder if there's a better way. You get that? These are the kind of things that we have to start paying attention to. Do any of you drink aloe vera juice? Or you take aloe vera gel? Just a few hands there. Just want you to know, very good prebiotic and probiotic, okay? So aloe vera juice is actually very good for the gut, okay? So that's something that if you don't do that, you can do that. If you grow those little aloe plants, you can take a nice cut of that, cut the, don't take the yellow part, please, of an aloe plant. Do not take that yellow part, family. That can have a very poisonous reaction on your stomach. It can hurt you. You go above the yellow part, you only take the green, and then you just take the little skin off, and then you drop that little jelly gooey thing, and you can put that in a blender and blend it with something else and drink it down. Super good for the gut. I mean, I can give you a list of how much good that does for your stomach and ultimately for your intestines. But in any case, this is what's happening now. We got a lot of bacteria that from the Food and Drug Administration is being allowed into our system. And you can't sue anybody or anything close to that. Okay? That's a problem. Just as bacteria survive the pasteurization process, so do many viruses, including certain leukemia and sarcoma. Those are cancers. Now, in his book, No Milk, by Daniel Toogood, D.C., he writes, in systemic arthritis like rheumatoid, the cause is coursing through the blood, and it got there through the diet. Okay? It got there through the diet. So here's what he says. When all of the joints are involved, the cause chemical. It's usually casein, 80% of milk protein, casein. Dr. Neil Barnard, MD, writes, certain foods trigger the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, and eliminating these foods sometimes causes even long-standing symptoms to improve or even remit entirely. It is important to avoid the problem foods completely, as even a small amount can cause symptoms. So what are the dairy products? All dairy products should be avoided. Skim or whole cow's milk, goat's milk. What's that word right there? Cheese. Yogurt, cream, and you can put the word ice in front of cream. You understand that? So these are the things that we have to say, I gotta take a step back from this. Cheese, Chuck E. Cheese, that spot needs to be empty. None of God's people need to be there. None of the health reformers need to be at Chuck E. Cheese. You understand that? No cheese. Not that kind of cheese. On Sunday, we'll show you how to make your own cheese. Okay? We'll show you how to make very delicious cheese. Okay? Very delicious. You're not going to eat it with a bitter face. You're going to eat it with a smile. But nevertheless, the regular cheese, animal cheese, we got to get that stuff away from us. We got to get it out of our diets and out of our systems, especially if you are battling with rheumatoid arthritis. Ice cream, same thing. You know, all these different things. These are the things we want to start eliminating. Now, what can we do? What are some foods we can eat? You know, taking away the good stuff, we say, but what's the foods we can eat? Well, number one, you want to go ahead and make sure that you're eating foods that are low in fat, but also eating foods that are high in fiber. Okay? And, you know, when you think of fiber, again, whole grain, there are many, many vegetables that are high in fiber, many fruits that are high in fiber. You know, when you think about food, look at this definition. I love this definition. A food may be defined as any substance which, when absorbed into the blood, will do what? Nourish the tissue, repair or remove waste, and furnish force and heat to the body. Read this last part with me. Without causing injury to any of its parts. That's a food. That's something we would call food, written by a gentleman who's a wonderful author, Julius Gilbert White. And that's a food. When we think of food, I want you to start thinking that's food. Food is something that I can put inside of me that nourishes my tissues, helps remove waste from my body, furnishes force and heat to my system, and does no injury. Okay? If I eat chocolate, it's going to tickle my taste bud. But it's also going to give me, especially if it's milk chocolate. In chocolate, you got milk, sugar, and dairy. Milk, sugar, and cream, and caffeine. All of that's in chocolate. So when you think about chocolate bars, chocolate cake, chocolate this, chocolate that, these are the reasons why we want to remove those things from our diets. Because it's going to help me on one side, but it's going to hurt me on another side. You get that? That's not real food. Now, you can replace it with something called carob. I'm trying to talk my wife into this. Y'all help me get her into this. I'm trying to talk my bride into making a raw carob pie for you all on Sunday's class. That thing will make you just, I mean, it is so good. Okay? Raw carob pie. Honey, say hi to everybody. Go ahead, wave your hand, girl. Go ahead, girl. They're looking at you. It's that light-skinned woman all the way in the back, right there, in between that dark-skinned boy and my dark-skinned sister to the right. That's her right there, trying to hide. All right? But yeah, I mean, that's food. That's food, family. Something that just gives you all good. and no bad. We got to start eating like this. I mean, seriously, we really have to start eating like this. We got to make a decision that I'm only going to put that which is in my system that only feeds me good and none of this bad anymore. I'm not trying to do 80% good, 20% bad, and all that stuff. Let's get to this place. It's too late in Earth's history to be playing these games. God is trying to get our bodies and our minds. I want you to read 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 23 when you get home and take it seriously. Okay? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 23. I want you to read it and I want you to take it seriously. Okay? That is a very serious verse for me because I believe Jesus is coming again. But that verse tells us what he's looking for when he comes. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 23. And so I want you to go ahead and look at that. And you will see that this is what he wants. And we need to make sure that we're in harmony with what he's expecting when he comes back. Okay? All right, let's continue. Almost done here. Open air. Now, family. Open air is really, really, really important. We take it for granted. We are not in open air right now. There's oxygen in this room, but it's not open air, okay? We are sealed in here, and we're all breathing in each other's breath, okay? We're breathing in each other's carbon dioxide. And that's not the best way to take in some air. You understand that? That's why I'm not a huge advocate in gyms. I believe in exercising outside. When you exercise in the gyms, you're breathing in everybody's stuff. But when you're outside, you know, you're breathing into pure fresh air. So the key is this. Every cell in our body must breathe to stay alive. Okay? In proper breathing, the abdomen expands to full capacity. What you do is you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So let's all stand up. Let's do a breathing exercise. All right, let's stand up. Almost done. Okay. So what we're going to do, and if you want, I want to encourage you all to learn to breathe from your abdomen, okay? I had to learn this when I used to sing. I had to learn this when I did martial arts and dancing, So it's absolute habit for me to do it now. But if it's not a habit for you, you can learn to do this. When you're talking or when you're breathing, instead of more the chest moving up and down, you'll start noticing your abdomen is kind of going in and out. It's your diaphragm area, and it expands. If you ever want to know the proper way to breathe, look at your baby. When you look at your baby, you'll never see your baby's chest going. You're always going to see, the belly moving. Seriously, just watch a bit. That was God's natural way for us to breathe. We got ill-trained and started messing everything up. So now what we're going to do is get it back together. So watch this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in. Now, when we take the deep breath in, I want you to do that, and then I'm going to snap my finger. Oh, I normally have my timer. Oh, I got it right here. Look at that. That's all right. I knew this thing would help me sooner or later. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in, and then when I snap my finger, I want you to exhale like this. And I want you to hold that exhalation for 15 seconds. Is that all right? Okay, here we go. Ready? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Stop. All right. Very good. Very good. How many of you hung in there? Okay. If you did not hang in there, you can be seated. I don't want to push you. I don't want to push you unless you want to try again. All right. For the rest of you who hung in there, 20 seconds. Ready? Okay. Here we go. Remember, when you hear the snap, when you hear that snap, exhale. All right. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good. 20. All right. What this is doing, we're training our lungs to take in deep aspirations of pure, fresh air, which gives the body good oxygen, which helps purify the blood. When we learn how to do these long exhalations, it's helping train our bodies to really get rid of all that carbon dioxide, that poison. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do one more shot. This one, we're shooting for 30 seconds. Okay? Let's do 30. Let's do it. You're doing really good. Very, very good. Very proud of you. These exercises are actually good to do with in progression with somebody who smokes. Because when you smoke, unfortunately, we've compromised our lungs. So now we got to retrain it to deep breaths and all these things. So here we go. All right? Ready? Okay. Let's take it in. 1, 2, 3. You did it! Very good. Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's tough, isn't it? Your body was like, help, help. You may be seated. Very good. Excellent. I want to encourage you that every day, as much as you can, you give yourself a break from work or whatever you're doing, and you go outside and you do a few of those nice breathing exercises. Deep breath in, deep breath out. The typical rule is however long it takes you to inhale, double it on your exhale. That's your rule. So if it takes you 4 seconds to inhale, we're going to do how long for exhale? 8 seconds. Very good. So that's basically it. But try to do like about 10 rounds of that. Just go outside, open air, and then just deep breath in, deep breath out. You'd be amazed. Now, here's a little trick for you. If you really want to calm down, if you're in a stressful moment, I'm going to encourage you to learn how to breathe in, and then you can't hear me, but I'm exhaling through my nose. There are actually some beautiful studies that just came out just this year and last year that are talking about when we exhale through our nose, it has a more immediate impact on what's called our parasympathetic nervous system, and it almost immediately calms you down. Okay, almost immediately. Like if you're in a hyper moment for any reason, if you do that inhale, but then you exhale through the nose, and you try to do that for the 8 seconds, you do that for about 10 times, that thing almost has an immediate, like, it's almost like you got an injection with calm. I mean, it's beautiful, okay? That's something just for you to remember. Also, please remember, family, you can do a lot of different things. Breathing exercises. Get some good house plants. Get some good house plants that provide good oxygen. You know, my family and I, you know, we believe very strongly in country living. And if you can get out of the city, you know, work in the cities, do what you got to do. But if you can live in the country, it's such a blessing because you get the best pure air. You get a really nice, simple, natural environment. It's easier for the mind to stay on God, you know, and to focus upon his words and his truth. I mean, just tons and tons of blessings. And so if you can, that's the heightened experience indeed. But if not, at least while you're in the cities, at least try to get yourself some good house plants. Do some cross ventilation. Always try to have, even during the summer months, crack your windows so you can let some air in and air out. Okay, even during the summer months, even during the winter months, crack the window, let good air in, let bad air get out. Okay, cross ventilation. Please do good exercises and breathe when you exercise. I mean, breathe and breathe well when you exercise. Try to develop a rhythm when you're breathing, okay, and you're doing your exercise. Eliminate the obvious. Don't do anything that you know is just going to bring bad air into your house. If you know you're stepping on a lot of garbage all throughout the streets, maybe you don't want to bring your shoes inside of your house and walk all over your carpets because your carpet's going to capture all that filth. You know what I'm saying? Leave the shoes at a certain place and then walk, you know, a different way throughout the house. Do the obvious. These are some plants that you can put in your house that actually detoxify the air. Okay, so you can get your cameras out and you can take some pictures. So, you know, these are plants that you can just add to your home. You can look for them. Go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or some other area where they sell a lot of bushes. And you can get some of these and add them to your library to give you some nice, pure, fresh air and detoxify the house. And I love this, too, because, you know, some of them remove indoor chemical toxins. You know, some of them take away things that's in the paint in your walls and what have you. It helps purify the air. And I just marvel at how God made this for us. You know, he made this. I mean, think of just the love that he has for us, that he says, I'm going to make this just for them. He didn't make it for heaven. He made it for us right here on earth, you know. So, I mean, it's for us. It's a blessing. It touches my heart when I think about that. So these are things that we can all consider and we can put there and, you know, hope that it will prove to be a tremendous blessing for us. I'll let you go ahead and take your pictures, and then hopefully you can get that. And again, remember, they said this will be on the website, I guess the slides or what have you, so you'll be able to see that as well. So that's good. That's good. Daily exercise, let's just get into that very quickly. Hydrotherapy treatments are very, very good for individuals that are suffering with arthritis, okay? Because sometimes to exercise, it's a little hard if you're stepping and, you know, if you have the arthritis in your hips or in certain areas, it might be a bit painful. But thank the Lord you can do hydrotherapy treatments, one of which is water aerobics, okay? So if you're privileged to have a pool, great. If you're okay with going to, you know, a more public area where they have their pools and what have you, and you can do some of these exercises, fine. But the key is that this is really good for when the joints are in such severe pain that we just can't seem to do it on regular dry ground. The next option for those of us who have it is we can, thank the Lord, go into a pool, and it helps tremendously. Hot and colds. Who did a hot and cold last night? All right. How did you enjoy your hot and cold? It was great. See? It was great. You see that? Yeah, see, she said she cried a little bit. But that's all right. Yes. See, I told you. I am not a false prophet when it comes to that. She said, my sister said, it helps you sleep soundly. Remember I told you, I said it has a sedative effect on you? When you do the hot and then you do the cold and you do the hot, you do the cold, it has like a set. I mean, it just calms you down. So in case, you know, some of you are like, what's the hot and cold? I didn't get it last night. Here it is. The procedure is simple, easy to remember. Just think 3 minutes, 30 seconds, 3 times. That's all you're doing. You're going to do 3 minutes hot, followed by 30 seconds cold, and you repeat it 3 times. And that's what you do. And I mean, the thing just feels wonderful. It feels wonderful. Your body loves it, and it stimulates circulation. So again, if you're dealing with osteoarthritis or what have you, you want to get that circulation really boosted up. This is a way you can do it. By simply alternating the faucets, you can boost your immune system, increase metabolism, enliven healthy circulation of blood and lymph, and promote detoxification. All of that happens when you're doing hot and cold. Such a beautiful, absolutely free hydrotherapy treatment. You don't need anybody else to help you. Just remember that if you are diabetic and if you're going through a level of neuropathy and so on, you just want to be mindful that, hey, the heat, you know, you don't want to turn your water too hot and it might scald you because you didn't know exactly how hot it is. So please be mindful of that. All right? Always remember, this is how hydrotherapy works, okay? Heat causes what's called dilation. This is a normal blood vessel. When it gets hot, it dilates, and then when it gets cold, it actually constricts. Now, here's the science. When heat comes, blood comes to the area. When the blood comes to the area, if there is any poison or any foreign chemical, what have you, the white blood cells are going to cling to it, absorb it, and then when you put the cold is going to kind of shoot it to your elimination channels, which is going to be your liver and your kidneys. And then your kidneys process and get it out. So that's the science behind hot and cold. The hot, draw the blood. When the blood comes, the blood gets that disease or gets that bacteria, that virus, that fungi, that parasite, and the white blood cells kind of puts it in a cellular headlock, if you will. And then when you put the cold on it, they're like, put the cold on us. And then when the cold gets on it, they're like, shoo, and then they shoot to the kidneys. Kidney, take care of this. And then the kidneys gets rid of it, gets it out the body. Liver, take care of this. Lymph system, take care of this. It's beautiful the way our bodies are made. It's just incredibly beautiful the way our bodies are made, okay? So that's what's happening, and it's just phenomenal. So this is something very good that you and I can do. Herbal treatments, there's tons of them. You're going to see at the table, some of you have been asking about it. You'll see the Encyclopedia of Foods, the Encyclopedia of Plants. If you want to add those to your library, my bride will be happy to help you with that. This is a nice recipe you can make yourself. This is nature's pain salve. No menthol involved. None of some of these other compromising chemicals that we often find inside some of our Bengays and these other types of salve. This is a lovely salve that you can make yourself. So go ahead and take your pictures of that. You can go ahead and add that to your cupboard. And they last a very long time. I mean, once you make this and you put it in a nice sealed container, it can last at, easily 6 months, 8 months. And it's just not a problem whatsoever. So you can absolutely enjoy something like that. So I'll let you go ahead and take your pictures while I take a sip. Very good. Okay, so we're down to our close, and imagine this. Every single night, we've always closed on the same point. High blood pressure, we closed on it. Diabetes, we closed on it. Did you know even with arthritis, stress? Did you know that stress can seriously complicate an arthritic experience? Stress. And so you don't want to go through this. This is something we got to get a handle on. Look at what it says right here. The cause may be partly chemical. When you're stressed, chemical messengers flood the brain and body, and those messengers can then trigger the production of other chemicals that can cause inflammation. Regardless of the precise connection, experts tell people with rheumatoid arthritis to reduce stress in their lives. It can help them feel better both mentally and physically. Okay, so again, this is why I keep stressing this point. Once we learn how to have a communion with God, when we learn how to study His words and to faithfully apply them in our lives, it enables us that when the crisis of life comes to hit us, because the one thing that I can guarantee you is you're going to get hit with crisis. We all are. We perhaps all have been hit already. Maybe some of us are still affected by it. But the point is that it's not about how you and I act. It's about how you and I react. See, stress is really about our reactions, not necessarily our actions. And so what we need to learn how to do is to have such a foundation in the one who governs our whole entire life. In the book of Acts, the 17th chapter, it says, in Him we live, move, and have our being. If we really believe in God, then we believe that He saw what was coming before it came. And therefore, if He saw what was coming before it came, I can trust that though it is a shock to me, it's not to Him. And as long as I hide in Him, He can give me the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, wherewithal, tenacity, whatever it is I need to know how to endure this trial, that I might glorify Him. That's the only reason why God allows this stuff to come in our lives. He doesn't do it to punish us. If we're living in rebellion, then yes, we need to reconcile with that. And we have to get to a place that we do humble ourselves in the sight of the Lord. And if there's anybody in this room that is rebelling against God, I pray that that is what you do, is learn the principles of surrender. And if you don't know it, I will be happy to show you how to do that. But if you have surrendered your heart to Him, then you don't have to fall into a state of worry and perplexity over the things that we don't understand, because we know we are in the hands of one who understands it all. And we know that Romans 8 and verse 28 is a text of Scripture we can all take to heart, which says, and I know, and we know, that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and to those who are called according to His purpose. And my hope and prayer is that that will have a powerful impact for the good upon our stress and bring a peace that passes all understanding upon our hearts. And that's what I leave you with. Is that all right? Amen. Amen. Question, how many of us understood the study tonight? Fantastic. Why don't we all stand together? And how many of us are willing to go ahead and make whatever the necessary changes are that we can bid this thing called arthritis farewell and keep it away by God's grace for the rest of our lives? How many of us are willing to cooperate? Amen. I'm so thankful. And let's go ahead, let's have a word of prayer to seal that decision. And then I'm going to make a very, very super quick announcement. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we just want to thank you so much for all the things you taught us tonight. Thank you for your wonderful words of life. Lord, I pray that you will continue to abide with us and help us to seal those decisions that have been made this evening, that we can truly cooperate with the principles that you teach us, trusting in your strength and not our own. And may you receive all the glory, honor, and praise for it. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen. There are many of you who probably have received one of these. If you have not received one of these, we want to give this to you. Now, here's where I need your assistance. I have tomorrow, Friday, Sunday partially, and Monday to do personal visitations with many of you so we can go over different lifestyle challenges that you're facing and how by God's grace through lifestyle some things can change. By what I received just last night, I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to get to everybody. It's just not going to happen. But there are some individuals here who are also equipped. And that's the thing for me. You know, I don't mind coming to a church as a visitor and saying, okay, let's do what we can to help. But it's always imperative that there are those who remain behind who can continue the work, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to meet with as many of you as I can. I want to start with our visitors, all right? I just think that that's appropriate. I should start with our visitors. And then from the visitors, then we go ahead and branch it out. Now, if you are a visitor and you filled out a consultation form, as long as you have an email, I need to see you. I need to get your email. And the reason why is because I'm going to send you a consultation sheet. This allows us to maximize our time. I'm going to send you a consultation sheet, and then I need you to fill it out by time I see you. Okay, it's not terribly in depth, but I just need you to fill it out because it allows me to really, really help you. Okay, so I'm asking if you are a visitor and you filled out one of these consultation sheets, Brother Bliss, I need your help. I'm going to ask you if you can help me to take down these emails. Okay, Brother Bliss will meet with you. He will take down your email address. Then that way we're going to send it to you tonight so you can have it, because I'm going to start calling and we're going to start meeting tomorrow. I have someone here already that is already a priority for me in the morning. I'm trying to do about 3 or 4 tomorrow, and then we're going to do the same thing on Friday, and et cetera, et cetera. So with that being stated, thank you for that. Again, if you are a visitor, please come forward. You're going to meet with Brother Bliss. He's going to help you to get down that email, and then that way we're going to know how to go forward from there. When you leave, my bride will be at the table. Some of you have asked about the Encyclopedia of Foods, the Encyclopedia of Plants. You can go ahead and look at those. A lot of those precious little blue booklets on cancer and diabetes and battling the bulge and all these things, they're going to be out there, and more are on their way on Friday. So you can talk to my wife about that. If there's something that was out that you wanted, you can talk with her. She'll be happy to help you, okay? Thank you so much. God bless you all. Have a safe journey home. Visitors, come forward.
This is my friend.